especially when it comes to the pleating and the sagging and the loss of firmness, whether it's the wisdom rings on your neck, whether you have angry skin, if you've got discolorations, you know very well in the world of skincare, see, there's that angry skin. Let's calm her down. Let's have that little namaste moment for her and for everyone else. StriVectin, they are leaders, they are pioneers when it comes to clinical and global research and exclusive patents. Nobody does what StriVectin does. Let's talk about application because we want everything uplifted. We want everything moving in the right direction, right?
Absolutely. We can see Karen is applying the neck cream in a beautiful upward motion, really sweeping it into her skin. Notice how Karen does not forget the back of her neck, because we want to look just as good walking away
yes, we do.
as we are when we're walking towards someone.
So here's one of the clinicals. And Christina, would you like to talk through this? Because you guys do a lot of clinical research.
Yes, we do. We are a clinical prestige brand, and one of the things that we do is consistently test our products for efficacy. And with our TL Advanced Tightening Neck Cream Plus, after 4 weeks, we saw women, when using this twice daily, 92% of women showed a measured improvement in uneven skin tone. And when you think about, you know, when you're using a product, you don't want it to just stop after a month. You want something that's going to keep working. And after 8 weeks of using this twice a day, 90% showed a measured optimization in skin elasticity, which will help improve the look of firmness in the skin, and 90% showed an improvement in the look of neck skin, those horizontal or wisdom rings that you called them. And that's something that we can trust and rely on with this product, that not only are you going to see those results, but you're going to continue to enjoy them the more consistently you use them.